Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1980 Detroit Lions alternate history. This is our Week 15 of Monday Morning Quarterback. We'll take a look back at yesterday's loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then we'll look ahead to our Week 16, our final week of the season's preview against the Atlanta Falcons. We'll also take a look at our standings for our contest where we're giving away a Billy Sims autographed jersey. Let's start with yesterday's terrible loss. We got taken out behind the woodshed by the Steelers. It started out in probably the most unique fashion of any of our games so far, with 4 consecutive punts. Both teams had 2 series where we ended up punting the ball. That hasn't happened. We got through the first quarter without anyone scoring, and then Pittsburgh got the ball. They went right down the field, scored a touchdown, and I felt, knowing after 14 weeks of playing this game, I knew that was a bad sign. But we got the ball back, we went right down and got into field goal range. In fact, we had a 30-yard field goal attempt from Eddie Murray, and he missed it. And that meant that he had missed 4 out of the last 5 field goals, most of them very makeable. And that was all we needed to know about the game. At that point, it was on for the Steelers. They have so many Hall of Famers. I mean, if you take a look here, we had 115 yards passing. And the kicker, not our kicker, Eddie Murray, but the kicker to that is that Gary Danielson got injured in the 4th quarter, and we're going to have to play Eric Hipple for Week 16. So, I mean, we were able to run the ball somewhat well with Billy Sims, but our time of possession was our worst of the season. We actually went under on the over-under, which was kind of a surprise, and we were not at all close to the point spread. So, just a terrible loss. The Steelers are the 1 seed of the AFC. So, knowing that, I mean, I guess we got what was coming to us. We shouldn't have been surprised. I just really felt like we were in it for that first quarter, and it kind of built up like this confidence that we were going to hang in there. But that just wasn't meant to be. So, we're going to take a look ahead here at the Falcons, but more importantly, we need to take a look at the contest. Now, we have a problem, as Sean did not get his pick in. We gave him 6 days, and then 20 minutes before recording, when I realized he hadn't had his pick in, I gave him that 20 minutes, plus I gave him the whole entire recording of the video, which was about an hour or so, where we would have gotten a notification if he had contacted us, in which I would have counted that pick, because it's not like the game is live or anything. But he did not get it in until after the game was over, and it was in the editing process and the uploading process. So I did get a pick from him, in which it would have resulted in a correct choice with the Steelers winning, but I cannot, in good conscience, award him the victory for that. If I allowed everybody to get a pick in well beyond the recording point, then it would just become so difficult for me to kind of keep track. I want to make it fair. I want to be, at the very least, I want to be fair about it. But I think 6 hours plus, 6 days plus the recording of yesterday, to get your pick in is more than fair. I don't mean to be a hard ass about it. I just don't think, it's fair to Don or to John to give concessions when they had their pick in within a couple of days, So I apologize to Sean for that, because I know he's been a good sport all year, and I want him to participate and to continue watching our videos. But with all that being said, the end result is Don did guess correctly with Pittsburgh. but incorrectly with the over-under. So what this means now, with 1 week to go, is Don has the lead with 9 victories, 1 over Sean, technically, and they are tied with the tiebreaker. So now we go to week 16. John has been eliminated. He can still play along if he wants, of course. But now we have 1 week to go. Let's take a look go back to the game here, and look at this, guys. It is a pick'em, right? So that means all you have to do is pick the winner of the game. If Don picks the winner of the game, he is the outright winner. If Don picks the winner of the game, or I should say if Sean picks the winner of the game and Don picks the other, then it's a tie, and I have to come up with another prize. So, in theory, if Don picks the Falcons to win and Sean picks Detroit to win, and I somehow pull it out, then it would go to the tiebreaker, and you got to get the tiebreaker right. So there could be there is a way that Sean can win next week with a little help. So it does come down to week 16. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's talk about our team, and then we'll talk about the Falcons. We'll try to get through this quickly. Okay, let's look at our offense. Now, if you watched yesterday's game, you know that in the fourth quarter, Gary Danielson got injured. He is unavailable for week 16. So that means Eric Hipple will be our quarterback for game 16. His first start of the year, he threw a very costly interception. I mean, the game was already over yesterday, but he did throw an interception. He is a rookie from Utah State. And, I mean, his rating is a 79, overall rating. He doesn't really do much well. His accuracy is pretty good. As long as it's Hipple to Freddie Scott, I guess we have a chance. But it's a slim chance. And if Don chooses Atlanta, I guess that means that Sean would have to trust me to try to pull out a win with Eric Hipple in order for him to have a chance to win. So there it is. Eric Hipple is our quarterback. We've still got Billy. He had an okay game yesterday. He did get his overall average over 4. Taking a look at his overall numbers there. Dexter Bussey got into it a little bit. David Hill nobody did well. Even Freddie Scott, he had his worst game of the year. He still leads all of football in receptions and yards. He has 9 TDs. Billy Sims scored our only touchdown, rushing, giving him 12 on the year. You take a look here at the offensive line, not great. I did switch Willie Parker back into the center's position. If you scroll down here, you'll see Carl Baldschweiler is out. So we've struggled at center all year. And I see that Willie Parker, despite his penalties that he's caused this season, has given Billy the most rushing yardage up the middle with a 3.75 average. So we're going to go with Willie Parker for the final game of the season to get a start. It'll be his 9th start of the year, and maybe we can win running. So nonetheless, it's going to be a tough win for us over the Falcons. If you look at our special teams, Eddie Murray, below 70%, absolutely tanked it the last 3 games of the season. Scoldane's still good. I've decided to give the kick returner's job back to John Arnold. Rick Kane will do the punt returns for game 16. We look at our defense, and we just got massacred. Daryl Luce, who just came back in yesterday's game, is going to be out for the season now. So he got re-injured. And our linebackers are Stan White at middle linebacker, Dave Simmons and Gary Cobb, the penalty machine, will be our 3 linebackers for the final game of the year. There's our defensive line. they've had a good year. I mean, not a ton of sacks. Al Bubba Baker's been good. And our cornerbacks, which for whatever reason could not get the job done. Now, when I went into dime defense in yesterday's game, there was no other safeties to add because Prentice McRae has been injured for a while. So we do not have any other safety. So I could not use a dime defense. I could use a nickel defense where they would add a quarterback. The only other thing I could do is take Wayne Smith, who hasn't played at all this year, even though he has an okay rating, and convert him to safety so that we could have someone for a dime defense. But I think maybe that's why Pittsburgh really controlled the air in passing situations, because I would call it dime defense and we wouldn't have that extra back. I don't know how the game accounted for that, to be honest. So not optimal for us. So I don't know what we're going to do about that. Maybe we just don't call it dime defense. We only call it nickel. So there's our defensive players. Again, linebacker, we're in terrible shape. We were really good in that game until Luce got injured. And then that was it. So let's move on here and take a look at the Falcons team. Right here at the top. There we go. Okay, the Falcons, their offense. How is this a pick'em when we have a backup quarterback? Well, I'll show you. They've got Steve Bartkowski, pretty darn good quarterback for this era. There's Bartkowski. A 91.7 rating, pretty good. Thrown for over 3,000 yards, 25 TDs, only 10 interceptions. He's missed a couple games this year. Oh, he's missed one game, I guess. But the problem is they do not have their running back. They do not have their fullback. So James Mayberry will get the start at running back. We'll take a look at him here. In fact, he does not even have a football card ever. So there's nothing to represent him in his second season out of Colorado. What that means is Lynn Kane, their number one running back, is out and will not play. Their fullback, William Andrews, who didn't really play all that much, only 86 yards rushing, he is out, and somebody named Jim Hunsinger, who's a rookie out of Virginia Tech with a 58 rating, will play in his first game at all for the season. So they do not have a running game of any sorts. If you look at their offensive line, they have a deficit at right guard. So we scroll down and wait, did I get everybody? Oh, but I don't even see a guard injured here. So they just have Pat Howell. Oh, yeah, he's made 15 starts, so he's just bad. So that's not good for them either. Their tight end is Junior Miller. There you go. An all-pro you see here. As a rookie, he's got 49 receptions, 414 yards, and 2 TDs. Their main receivers, wide receiver 1 is Alfred Jenkins, averaging almost 20 yards a reception, 1,500 yards overall, 77 receptions, and 15 touchdowns. There's a 3D football card of him there. Pretty cool. And wide receiver 2 is Wallace Francis, 44 receptions. He's coming off a 1,000-yard season in 1979 with 74 receptions. So he's definitely taken a step down here this season. Has he been injured? Yeah, he's missed 2 games. Oh, I'm sorry. Where am I at here? No, he's fine. He has not missed any games. So, and then we have the offensive line, which we saw there. Their backup quarterback is Mike Morawski. He made 1 start this year. Second year out of Cal Davis. And you can see here with your own 2 eyes, they don't have a lot of other really interesting offensive players. They got a lot of tight ends, but not much else here to get excited about. Jeff Van Note in the Hall of Fame. There's Jeff Van Note. He's always looked old. He's only 34 years old in this season, his 12th year out of Kentucky. But Jeff Van Note, Hall of Famer. And also, I don't know if R.C. Thielman is in the Hall of Fame or not, but he was a big player for them on the offensive line. There he is there. And actually, I think Mike Ken was a really great offensive lineman. The other guys, I don't know. Okay, special teams, special players for special teams. It is Tim Mazzetti. He is their kicker, rated an 88, at 88% field goal percentage. His longest is a 56. He's been pretty good this year. He did miss a PAT. And let's look at the punter. That is John James. And he is averaging 48 yards a punt. So their special teams are pretty damn good. Who are the returners? It's William Andrews. Wait a minute. William Andrews. He's injured. So who is their kick returner and punt returner? I wonder who they're going to put in there. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And then their defense. Okay, they are down a couple linebackers themselves. But overall, a pretty solid defense. Their defensive line, nobody here that I recognize. Don Smith? I guess I don't. That's his football card, but I don't really recognize him. Nobody on here has more than 1.5 sacks. Joel Williams at linebacker has 3.5. He's injured and out. Looking at their linebackers, I mean, they're pretty solid. They're better than our linebackers, that's for sure. Fulton Kukadal, pretty good player, longtime Atlanta Falcon. He's a good linebacker. And then if you look at their or their secondary in general, nobody here that I recognize, but the ratings are pretty high. And Kenny Johnson's got 6 interceptions as a rookie, so that's pretty good, out of Mississippi State. Looking at their backups, I don't really see anybody here that really jumps out at me either. So this is kind of an anonymous team. But if you look at the point spread, it's a pick 'em. Now, the over and under is only 36, and that's got to be because we have our backup quarterback in there. I mean, I don't know how we're going to score unless Billy Sims and Dexter Buskey can lead us to the promised land. That is going to be the tough thing to overcome. Can we get our offense going with our running game? And at least give us enough space, if the running game's working, for Hipple to get the ball to Freddie Scott, who you know is going to be double covered. So the last contestants that we have, the 3 of them, if you can get your guesses into me, of course, before next week. Now, Week 16 takes place on Christmas Day. I will play that game that day. I'll make time to finish up the season. When the game is over, assuming that we have a clear outright winner, I will get your Detroit Lion jersey out to you as soon as you get me your address. So I could do that on Monday morning after Christmas. Now, if it's a tie, which is very possible, you have to give me a day or two to find a comparable prize for the other winner. Okay? So please get that into me before Christmas Day. I know it's a busy week for everybody, but please do your best to get your pick in. Let's take a look at a couple things real quick here. Now, here's the standings as we head into the final week of the season. Now, when this sim is done, I imagine that we can play the playoffs. I haven't decided whether I want to play them where we just maybe let the computer play the computer and I record it and we kind of get the victory, or if I should just advance through it and get to the draft, which is what I think we all want to see how that works. I have no idea. If you're just jumping into this this week, I've never played this game before I started this year's sim, so I don't know what happens when the season's over. So here is the NFC here. You see we're in last place in our division. Looking at the AFC, Pittsburgh, 10-5, San Diego, probably the superior team. They've won 7 in a row, but they do have the number 2 seed. Let's take a look at the playoffs. Here's how it pans out through 15 weeks. Steelers have the first round bye, so do the Eagles. Dolphins will play the Chargers. Colts play the Bills. In the wild card game, Cowboys play the Packers. The Bears are in right now with the Rams. So this is these are all the teams that you kind of want to see, which is fun. I'm glad it's working out this way. I would have loved for the Lions to be in there, but it just wasn't meant to be. So the leaders, just here are the main categories. We're not going to go through everything, but quarterback rating through 15 weeks, Doug Williams, number 1 overall. There's Jaws, Vince Evans, no Gary Danielson. Rushing yards. Oh, this is NFC. We're going to go overall rating. There we go. So Dan Fouts, just a tick above Doug Williams overall. Here's rushing yards. Billy Sims holding on to the nice spot overall. Receiving yards with 109 yards receiving. Freddie Scott will go over 2,000 yards this year, so that'll be maybe the only thing to look forward to if we can't pull out a victory. And then Rulon Jones of Denver has 10.5 sacks. Bubba Baker has 6. So those are just some of the main categories. At the end of the year, we'll go through all the different stats, as you can see here, and see if something jumps out at us there. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for today. We will come back on Christmas Day. We'll play this Falcons matchup. After the game is over, we'll see what happens next. Hopefully, it will just allow me to advance until the playoffs or something. Maybe we'll do a separate video where it'll just be the playoffs and then the draft. I don't know. We'll figure it out, though. So that's going to do it for today. Hope to see you next week. And get your picks in, guys, please, so we can be fair about it. Until then, everyone, have a great day.